Welcome to part 2 of a nighttime journey through 50 logical and mathematically paradoxes, where curiosity meets calm and wonder leads to rest. Each paradox is a doorway into the mysteries of existence, inviting you to ponder life's deepest riddles before drifting off into peaceful slumber. Before we get started, if you like this content, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel so you won't miss future videos. Let's get started. Number 26. The Paradox of Fiction. Why do we cry over imaginary stories? Imagine yourself sitting in a darkened theater, the kind where the screen glows like a beacon and the world outside fades into irrelevance. The air is thick with anticipation, punctuated by the occasional rustle of candy wrappers or the soft sighs of the audience. On the screen unfolds a story, a tale of love, loss, and heartbreak so vivid it feels almost real. And then it happens. A character you've grown to care about faces an impossible choice, their pain laid bare for all to see. Your throat tightens, your eyes well up, and before you know it, tears are streaming down your face. But here's the paradox. You know none of this is real. These characters don't exist. Their struggles are fabricated, their world imagined. So why does your heart ache as if they were standing right beside you? This is the paradox of fiction, a philosophical mystery that delves into the heart of human emotion and storytelling. At its core lies a puzzling contradiction. We feel deeply for fictional characters despite knowing they aren't real. How can something so intangible evoke such visceral reactions? Why do we cry over made-up stories, cheer for imaginary heroes, or fear phantoms conjured by words on a page? It's a question that has intrigued thinkers for centuries, challenging our understanding of empathy, imagination, and the power of art. Let's pause here for a moment, letting the scene settle gently into your mind. Picture the theater again, the flickering light of the screen casting shadows on the walls, the hushed silence broken only by the muffled sobs of fellow viewers. Now imagine stepping back from the moment, analyzing your own response. You're aware that the story isn't true, yet your emotions surge as though it were. Is it because the narrative taps into universal truths about love, grief, or resilience? Or is there something deeper at play, something about the way our minds blur the line between fiction and reality? Now let's linger here for a moment, imagining the broader implications. This isn't just about movies or books, it's about how we connect with stories in all their forms. Think about the times you've been moved by a novel, a painting, or even a song. Each medium invites you into its world, asking you to suspend disbelief and immerse yourself in someone else's experience. Whether it's the tragic fate of Shakespeare's Juliet or the haunting melody of a forgotten folk tune, these creations resonate because they reflect pieces of ourselves, our fears, hopes, and dreams. They remind us that while the details may differ, the emotions are universal. Philosophers have wrestled with the paradox of fiction, proposing explanations that range from psychological to metaphysical. Some argue that we temporarily forget fiction isn't real, allowing ourselves to become fully absorbed in the narrative. Others suggest that we engage in a form of pretense, knowingly choosing to respond emotionally as if the story were true. Still others propose that fiction serves as a mirror, reflecting aspects of human existence that transcend individual circumstances. Regardless of the explanation, one thing is clear. Fiction holds a unique power to touch us in ways that defy logic. But let's bring it back to the theater, away from abstract theories and into the realm of human emotion. As you sit there wiping away tears, feel the weight of the paradox, not as something to resolve but as something to embrace. Isn't there something poetic about the idea that we can be moved by what isn't real? That through imagination we find truth? That stories, no matter how far-fetched, help us make sense of the world and our place within it? Take a deep breath now, letting the stillness of the moment envelop you. Feel the faint hum of the projector behind you, the soft rustle of fabric as someone shifts in their seat. Allow yourself to marvel at the complexity of the situation, not as a problem to solve but as a reflection of the profound connection between art and emotion. There's something oddly liberating about realizing that feeling deeply for fiction doesn't diminish its impact. Instead, it amplifies it, reminding us of the boundless capacity of the human heart. As the credits roll and the lights come up, let the image of the screen linger softly in your mind. Picture the characters frozen in their final moments, their stories etched forever in light and shadow. Perhaps tonight, in your dreams, you'll revisit those scenes, reliving the joy and sorrow as if for the first time. Or maybe you'll simply sit there, content to embrace the ambiguity, to wonder, to reflect. And so, as you prepare to rest, carry this quiet contemplation with you. Let it remind you that life, and art, is full of contradictions, each one layered with nuance and possibility. For in the dance of imagination and emotion lies the essence of storytelling, and the beauty of finding meaning in the intangible. Number 27. The Paradox of Omnipotence. Can God create an immovable stone? Imagine yourself standing in a vast, empty cathedral, the kind where silence feels almost tangible and every breath echoes softly against ancient stone walls. Before you stands a pedestal, atop which rests a gleaming boulder, perfectly smooth, impossibly heavy, radiating an aura of unshakable permanence. This is no ordinary stone. It was said to have been crafted by divine hands, forged as a testament to ultimate power. But here's the question that lingers like incense in the air. If God is truly omnipotent, can he create a stone so heavy that even he cannot move it? This is the paradox of omnipotence, a philosophical riddle that has challenged theologians, philosophers, and thinkers for centuries. At its heart lies a deceptively simple contradiction. If God can create such a stone, then his inability to move it would seem to limit his power. Yet if he cannot create the stone, doesn't that also imply a limitation? It's a puzzle that twists back on itself, leaving us caught between two seemingly irreconcilable truths about the nature of omnipotence. Let's pause here for a moment, letting the paradox settle gently into your thoughts. Picture the scene again, the towering columns of the cathedral stretching upward toward infinity, the faint glow of candlelight flickering across the polished surface of the stone. Now imagine stepping closer, running your fingers along its cool edge. Does this object embody the pinnacle of divine creativity, or does it expose a flaw in our understanding of omnipotence itself? Is the very concept of unlimited power inherently self-contradictory, or are we simply asking the wrong questions? Now, let's linger here for a moment, imagining the broader implications. This isn't just about stones or gods, it's about how we grapple with absolutes and limits in a universe governed by rules. Think about the times you've encountered ideas that seem too vast to comprehend. Concepts like infinity, eternity, or unconditional love. Each one stretches the boundaries of human reasoning, forcing us to confront the limits of language and logic. The paradox of omnipotence operates in much the same way, inviting us to wrestle with the tension between what is conceivable and what transcends comprehension. Philosophers and theologians have debated this paradox for millennia, proposing solutions that range from pragmatic to profound. Some argue that the question itself is flawed, suggesting that creating an immovable stone contradicts the definition of omnipotence because it introduces an impossible condition. Others suggest that omnipotence doesn't mean the ability to do the logically impossible but rather the capacity to accomplish anything within the realm of possibility. Still others embrace the paradox as a humbling reminder of the mysteries beyond human understanding, urging us to approach the divine with awe rather than analysis. But let's bring it back to the cathedral, away from abstract theories and into the realm of human wonder. As you stand there gazing at the stone, feel the weight of the paradox, not as something to resolve but as something to marvel at. Isn't there something poetic about the idea that some questions resist easy answers, that they exist not to confound us but to inspire deeper reflection? That faith and reason might coexist not as adversaries but as partners in the pursuit of truth? Take a deep breath now, letting the stillness of the cathedral envelop you. Feel the faint echo of your footsteps against the cold stone floor, the distant tolling of bells marking the passage of time. Allow yourself to wonder, not as a skeptic seeking proof but as a dreamer embracing mystery. There's something oddly comforting about realizing that certainty isn't always attainable, that discovery often requires stepping outside conventional boundaries. As the hours pass and shadows lengthen across the sacred space, let the image of the stone linger softly in your mind. Picture its gleaming surface reflecting fragments of light, its presence both grounding and enigmatic. Perhaps tonight, in your dreams, you'll find yourself back in this cathedral, confronting the paradox anew, weighing the stone, questioning its purpose, searching for meaning in its contradictions. Or maybe you'll simply sit there, content to embrace the ambiguity, to wonder, to reflect. And so, as you prepare to rest, carry this quiet contemplation with you. Let it remind you that life, and belief, is full of paradoxes, each one layered with nuance and possibility. For in the dance of power and limitation lies the essence of divinity, and the beauty of striving for understanding in the face of the unknowable. Number 28. The Arrow Paradox, Motion Through Frozen Instants. Imagine yourself standing in a quiet meadow at dawn, the kind where the world feels suspended in stillness, as if holding its breath. Before you, an archer stands poised, bow drawn taut, with an arrow ready to be released into the crisp morning air. As the string snaps forward and the arrow begins its flight, you blink, and for just a moment time seems to freeze. In that frozen instant, the arrow hangs motionless in midair, perfectly balanced against the backdrop of the rising sun. And yet it's clearly moving, or is it? This is the Arrow Paradox, a thought experiment devised by Zeno of Elea that challenges our understanding of motion, time, and reality itself. Let's pause here for a moment, letting the paradox settle gently into your thoughts. Picture the scene again, the golden light stretching across the meadow, the faint rustle of grass beneath your feet, and the arrow suspended in space. At any given instant, the arrow occupies a single position. It has no room to move forward or backward because motion requires change over time. But if each instant is static, how does the arrow ever leave the bow, let alone reach its target? If time is made up of countless such instants, strung together like beads on a necklace, then isn't motion merely an illusion? Now, let's linger here for a moment, imagining the broader implications. This isn't just about arrows or archery, it's about how we perceive movement and continuity in a universe governed by fleeting moments. Think about the times you've watched water flow over rocks in a stream, or leaves swirling in the wind. Each movement appears seamless, fluid, and alive. Yet according to the paradox, these motions are composed of infinite frozen snapshots, stitched together so tightly that they create the illusion of flow. It's as though life itself is a flipbook, where individual frames appear static but blend into motion when viewed rapidly. Philosophers and physicists have wrestled with this paradox for centuries, exploring its connections to mathematics, metaphysics, and the nature of time. Some argue that motion cannot exist within singular instants. Instead, it emerges from the relationship between successive moments. Others suggest that calculus, the branch of mathematics dealing with rates of change, offers a solution, allowing us to describe motion mathematically even if we can't fully reconcile it conceptually. Still others embrace the paradox as a reminder of the limits of human perception, urging us to marvel at the mysteries hidden within the fabric of reality. But let's bring it back to the meadow, away from abstract theories and into the realm of human experience. As you stand there watching the arrow soar toward its mark, feel the weight of the paradox, not as something to resolve but as something to embrace. Isn't there something poetic about the idea that motion exists not in isolation but in connection? That every step forward depends on the interplay of countless invisible transitions? Life itself mirrors this rhythm, unfolding through moments that feel distinct yet interconnected, creating a tapestry of experience. Take a deep breath now, letting the stillness of the meadow envelop you. Feel the cool breeze brushing against your skin, the faint hum of birdsong drifting through the air. Allow yourself to marvel at the complexity of the situation, not as a problem to solve but as a reflection of the delicate balance between stasis and motion. There's something oddly comforting about realizing that motion doesn't require perfection. It simply asks us to trust the process, to believe in the journey even when the path feels uncertain. As the sun climbs higher in the sky, casting long shadows across the meadow, let the image of the arrow linger softly in your mind. Picture its sleek form slicing through the air, tracing an arc that defies easy explanation. Perhaps tonight, in your dreams, you'll find yourself back in this moment, watching as the arrow moves frame by frame, revealing the beauty of its trajectory. Or maybe you'll simply sit there, content to embrace the mystery, to wonder, to reflect. And so, as you prepare to rest, carry this quiet contemplation with you. Let it remind you that life is full of dualities, each one layered with nuance and possibility. For in the dance of stillness and motion lies the essence of existence, and the beauty of finding meaning in the spaces between. Number 29. The Paradox of Value, Diamonds versus Water. Imagine yourself standing at the edge of a serene, crystal-clear lake nestled in the heart of a lush forest. The morning mist clings to the surface of the water, shimmering faintly under the golden rays of the rising sun. You kneel down, cupping your hands to take a drink, the cool, refreshing liquid quenching your thirst instantly. Without water, life as we know it would cease to exist. It is essential, irreplaceable, and vital for survival. Yet paradoxically, despite its immense value to human existence, water is remarkably cheap, often free, and readily available in many parts of the world. Now shift your gaze to the glint of light reflecting off something small and sparkling nearby, a diamond resting delicately on the forest floor. Beautiful, rare, and coveted, but utterly useless when it comes to sustaining life. And yet, diamonds command astronomical prices, far exceeding the monetary worth of water. This is the paradox of value, a riddle that challenges our understanding of what makes something truly valuable. Let's pause here for a moment, letting the paradox settle gently into your thoughts. Picture the scene again, the tranquil lake stretching out before you, its waters teeming with life-giving properties, juxtaposed against the dazzling brilliance of the diamond. How can something so critical to survival be worth so little, while something so superfluous be prized beyond measure? At first glance, it seems irrational, a contradiction between necessity and luxury. But dig deeper, and you'll find that this paradox reveals profound insights about scarcity, utility, and human perception. Now, let's linger here for a moment, imagining the broader implications. This isn't just about water or diamonds, it's about how we assign value to everything around us. Think about the times you've prioritized one thing over another, choosing a fancy meal over a simple, nourishing dish, splurging on an expensive gadget instead of saving for essentials, or valuing material possessions above experiences. Our decisions are shaped not only by objective needs but also by subjective desires, societal norms, and the allure of rarity. Philosophers and economists have grappled with the paradox of value for centuries, most notably Adam Smith, who highlighted the discrepancy between value in use, water, and value in exchange, diamonds. Economists later refined this concept through the lens of marginal utility, the idea that the value of a good depends not on its overall importance but on how much additional satisfaction or benefit we derive from each unit of it. For example, because water is abundant, the marginal utility of an extra glass is relatively low, even though its total utility is immense. Conversely, diamonds are scarce, so their marginal utility, and thus their price, is high despite their lack of practical use. But let's bring it back to the lakeside, away from abstract theories and into the realm of human emotion. As you stand there holding the diamond in one hand and gazing at the vast expanse of water, Feel the weight of the paradox, not as something to resolve but as something to contemplate. Isn't there something poetic about the way humans balance necessity and desire? That we chase beauty and status even as we rely on humble resources to sustain us? Life itself mirrors this tension, oscillating between the practical and the aspirational, the ordinary and the extraordinary. Take a deep breath now, letting the stillness of the forest envelop you. Feel the soft rustle of leaves overhead, the gentle lapping of water against the shore. Allow yourself to marvel at the complexity of the situation, not as a problem to solve but as a reflection of the delicate interplay between abundance and scarcity, need and want. There's something oddly liberating about realizing that value isn't fixed. It shifts depending on context, perspective, and circumstance. As the hours pass and the sunlight grows warmer, casting dancing reflections across the lake, let the image of water and diamonds linger softly in your mind. Picture the contrast between their forms, one fluid, life-sustaining, infinite, the other solid, ornamental, finite. Perhaps tonight, in your dreams, you'll find yourself exploring this paradox further, weighing the intangible worth of necessities against the glittering promises of luxuries. Or maybe you'll simply sit there, content to embrace the ambiguity, to wonder, to reflect. And so, as you prepare to rest, carry this quiet contemplation with you. Let it remind you that life is full of dualities, each one layered with nuance and possibility. For in the dance of scarcity and abundance lies the essence of value, and the beauty of finding meaning in both the indispensable and the exquisite. Number 30. The unexpected egg, predicting randomness. Imagine yourself seated at a rustic wooden table in a cozy kitchen bathed in the soft glow of morning sunlight. Before you lies a simple carton of eggs, its lid slightly ajar, revealing a neat row of smooth oval shells nestled inside. Each egg looks identical, uniform and unassuming, but one of them holds a secret. Somewhere within this ordinary dozen lies an unexpected egg, marked with a faint golden star on its shell. You've been told that when you open the carton, you'll find the starred egg in a place you least expect. But here's the twist. If you can predict which egg it is, it ceases to be unexpected. This playful riddle, known as the unexpected egg, mirrors a deeper paradox about randomness, expectation, and the limits of prediction. Let's pause here for a moment, letting the scenario settle gently into your thoughts. Picture the scene again. The warmth of the kitchen, the faint clink of spoons against ceramic mugs, and the anticipation building as you prepare to lift each egg from the carton. At first glance, the task seems straightforward. Choose an egg, check for the star, and marvel at the surprise if you guessed wrong. Yet as you consider the implications, a curious tension arises. If you systematically eliminate possibilities, one egg at a time, you might reason that by the last egg you'd know it must be the starred one. But wouldn't that make it expected? And if it's expected, how can it still qualify as unexpected? The paradox loops back on itself, leaving you caught between logic and intuition. Now let's linger here for a moment, imagining the broader implications. This isn't just about eggs or stars, it's about how we navigate uncertainty and randomness in everyday life. Think about the times you've tried to anticipate outcomes. Guessing who will win a game, predicting whether it will rain, or even deciding what gift will delight a loved one. We often rely on patterns, probabilities, and gut feelings to guide us, yet true randomness defies these attempts. It thrives in the spaces where predictions falter, reminding us that some things remain inherently unpredictable, and all the more wondrous because of it. Philosophers and mathematicians have explored similar paradoxes, such as the unexpected hanging paradox, which shares thematic roots with the unexpected egg. Both challenge our assumptions about foresight and inevitability, revealing how expectations shape our perception of events. Some argue that randomness is merely a reflection of incomplete information, that if we knew every variable, nothing would truly be random. Others embrace randomness as a fundamental aspect of existence, suggesting that unpredictability enriches life by introducing spontaneity and discovery. Either way, the paradox invites us to reconsider how much control we really have over the future. But let's bring it back to the kitchen, away from abstract theories and into the realm of human curiosity. As you sit there contemplating the carton, feel the weight of the paradox, not as something to resolve but as something to enjoy. Isn't there something delightful about the idea that surprises exist precisely because they resist prediction? That life's most memorable moments often catch us off guard, breaking through the monotony of routine? Whether it's stumbling upon an old friend in a crowded market or finding beauty in an unexpected sunset, randomness reminds us to stay open to the unknown. Take a deep breath now, letting the stillness of the kitchen envelop you. Feel the cool texture of the egg carton beneath your fingertips, the faint aroma of fresh bread wafting through the air. Allow yourself to marvel at the complexity of the situation, not as a problem to solve but as a celebration of unpredictability. There's something oddly comforting about realizing that not everything needs to fit neatly into expectations. Sometimes the joy lies in the act of wondering, searching, and discovering. As the morning light shifts across the table, casting long shadows and highlighting the subtle curves of the eggs, let the image of the carton linger softly in your mind. Picture the golden star hidden somewhere among the shells, waiting patiently to be found, or perhaps never revealed at all. Perhaps tonight, in your dreams, you'll find yourself back at this table, lifting each egg with childlike anticipation, embracing the thrill of not knowing. Or maybe you'll simply sit there, content to embrace the mystery, to wonder, to reflect. And so, as you prepare to rest, carry this quiet contemplation with you. Let it remind you that life is full of surprises, each one layered with nuance and possibility. For in the dance of prediction and randomness lies the essence of discovery, and the beauty of finding wonder in the unexpected. Number 31. The Paradox of the Court, Teaching Law Without Paying. Imagine yourself seated in a grand, candlelit courtroom, its high ceilings adorned with intricate carvings and its walls lined with towering shelves of dusty legal tomes. The air is thick with the scent of aged parchment and polished wood, and the faint echo of footsteps reverberates through the cavernous space. Before you stands a young man, ambitious, sharp-eyed, and brimming with potential. He has just completed his legal training under the tutelage of a renowned teacher, who taught him everything he knows about the art of argument, justice, and persuasion. But here's the catch: the teacher made an unusual agreement with the student. Payment for the lessons would only be due if and when the student won his first case. Now, as the student prepares to argue his inaugural trial, the teacher files a lawsuit against him, demanding payment before he's even had the chance to step into court. This is the paradox of the court, a timeless riddle that delves into the intricacies of logic, obligation, and self-reference. Let's pause here for a moment, letting the paradox settle gently into your thoughts. Picture the scene again: the solemn weight of the courtroom, the flickering candlelight casting long shadows across the faces of those present. The teacher argues confidently, "If I win this case, the court will order my student to pay me. And if he wins, then by our original agreement, he owes me payment for having won his first case." It seems airtight, an ingenious way to ensure compensation no matter the outcome. But the student, eager to prove himself, counters with equal poise, "If I win this case, the court will rule that I do not have to pay. And if I lose, then according to our agreement, I still don't owe anything because I haven't yet won my first case." Both arguments appear flawless, yet they directly contradict each other. How can the court possibly resolve this tangled web? Now, let's linger here for a moment, imagining the broader implications. This isn't just about lawyers or lawsuits. It's about how we navigate agreements, obligations, and the limits of language. Think about the times you've entered into a contract, verbal or written, believing it to be clear and binding. Yet words often carry hidden ambiguities, their meanings shifting depending on context or interpretation. The paradox of the court exposes the fragility of such arrangements, showing how even the most carefully crafted rules can unravel under scrutiny. It's a reminder that logic itself, while powerful, sometimes leads us down paths where contradictions arise naturally and unpredictably. Philosophers and jurists have debated this paradox for centuries, using it to explore the foundations of law, ethics, and reasoning. Some argue that the solution lies in prioritizing the literal terms of the agreement, suggesting that the student's argument holds more weight since he hasn't technically won a case yet. Others propose that the teacher's claim takes precedence, emphasizing the intent behind the original deal rather than its technicalities. Still others see the paradox as evidence of the inherent limitations of human systems, urging us to embrace ambiguity instead of seeking definitive answers. But let's bring it back to the courtroom, away from abstract theories and into the realm of human drama. As you sit there watching the proceedings unfold, feel the weight of the paradox, not as something to resolve but as something to marvel at. Isn't there something poetic about the idea that justice, like truth, resists easy categorization? That the very tools we use to create order, laws, contracts, arguments, can also become sources of confusion and contradiction? Life itself mirrors this tension, oscillating between clarity and complexity, structure and chaos. Take a deep breath now, letting the stillness of the courtroom envelop you. Feel the faint creak of the wooden benches beneath you, the rhythmic tapping of the judge's gavel punctuating the silence. Allow yourself to wonder, not as a skeptic seeking proof but as a dreamer embracing mystery. There's something oddly comforting about realizing that certainty isn't always attainable, that discovery often requires stepping outside conventional boundaries. As the hours pass and the candles burn lower, casting long, wavering shadows across the room, let the image of the trial linger softly in your mind. Picture the teacher and the student standing before the bench, their arguments weaving together like threads in a tapestry of logic and paradox. Perhaps tonight, in your dreams, you'll find yourself back in this courtroom, witnessing the debate anew, weighing the merits of each side, searching for meaning in their contradictions. Or maybe you'll simply sit there, content to embrace the ambiguity, to wonder, to reflect. And so, as you prepare to rest, carry this quiet contemplation with you. Let it remind you that life is full of dualities, each one layered with nuance and possibility. For in the dance of agreement and disagreement lies the essence of negotiation, and the beauty of finding resolution in the face of uncertainty. Number 32. The Grandfather Paradox, Killing Your Past Self. Imagine yourself standing on a windswept hilltop, the kind where time feels suspended and the world stretches endlessly before you. In your hand rests an object both ordinary and extraordinary, a small metallic device with blinking lights, humming faintly as though alive. It's a time machine, capable of bending the very fabric of reality, allowing you to step backward into the past or leap forward into the future. But here's the catch. What if, in your journey through time, you were to alter something so fundamental that it unravels the present you know? What if, for example, you traveled back decades to meet your grandfather as a young man, and accidentally, or intentionally, prevented him from meeting your grandmother? This is the grandfather paradox, a mind-bending riddle that challenges our understanding of causality, identity, and the fragile threads that weave together existence. Let's pause here for a moment, letting the paradox settle gently into your thoughts. Picture the scene again. The rolling hills bathed in golden twilight, the distant silhouette of a farmhouse where your grandfather once lived. You arrive, cloaked in anonymity, carrying the weight of knowledge no one else possesses. If you succeed in disrupting his life, whether by preventing a chance encounter, altering a decision, or worse, what happens to you? Would you vanish instantly, erased from history like words scrubbed from a page? Or would the universe find some way to reconcile the contradiction, creating parallel timelines or collapsing under its own impossibility. The questions spiral outward, each more unsettling than the last. Now, let's linger here for a moment, imagining the broader implications. This isn't just about grandfathers or family trees, it's about how we perceive time itself. Think about the times you've wished you could go back and change something. A harsh word spoken in anger, a missed opportunity, a reckless mistake. How often have you fantasized about stepping into the past to rewrite history, believing it would make your present better? Yet the grandfather paradox reminds us that tampering with the past is fraught with peril. Not just because of the immediate consequences but because of the cascading effects that ripple across lifetimes. Every action has a reaction. Every choice shapes countless others. To undo one thread risks unraveling the entire tapestry. Philosophers and physicists alike have wrestled with this paradox, using it to explore the nature of time travel, free will, and the multiverse theory. Some argue that the paradox proves time travel is inherently impossible, that the laws of physics simply won't allow such contradictions to occur. Others suggest that alternate realities might emerge, branching off at the moment of interference, ensuring that multiple versions of history coexist without conflict. Still others embrace the paradox as a humbling reminder of human limitations, urging us to focus less on rewriting the past and more on shaping the future. But let's bring it back to the hilltop, away from abstract theories and into the realm of human emotion. As you stand there clutching the time machine, feel the weight of the paradox, not as something to resolve but as something to contemplate. Isn't there something poetic about the idea that time resists manipulation, guarding its mysteries against even our most earnest attempts to control it? That the beauty of existence lies not in perfection but in imperfection, in the messy tangle of cause and effect that makes life unpredictable and precious? Take a deep breath now, letting the stillness of the hilltop envelop you. Feel the cool breeze brushing against your skin, the faint rustle of grass beneath your feet. Allow yourself to marvel at the complexity of the situation, not as a problem to solve but as a reflection of the delicate balance between chaos and order. There's something oddly comforting about realizing that some things are meant to remain untouched, that the act of acceptance can be as powerful as the desire to change. As the sun dips lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the landscape, let the image of the farmhouse linger softly in your mind. Picture your grandfather as a young man, full of dreams and potential, unaware of the role he plays in your story. Perhaps tonight, in your dreams, you'll find yourself walking those same windswept hills, confronting the paradox anew, weighing the cost of altering history against the value of preserving it. Or maybe you'll simply sit there, content to embrace the mystery, to wonder, to reflect. And so, as you prepare to rest, carry this quiet contemplation with you. Let it remind you that life is full of dualities, each one layered with nuance and possibility. For in the dance of past and present lies the essence of continuity, and the beauty of finding meaning in the unchangeable. Number 33. The paradox of the preface, believing every word yet doubting the whole. Imagine yourself seated at a sturdy wooden desk in a quiet study, the kind where time seems to slow and thoughts deepen with every passing moment. Before you lies a freshly printed book, its pages crisp and unblemished, the culmination of months, or perhaps years, of painstaking research, writing, and revision. You've poured your heart into this work, meticulously crafting each sentence, verifying every fact, and ensuring that each claim stands on solid ground. And yet, as you pen the preface, a thoughtful introduction meant to guide readers through your journey, you find yourself writing something unsettling. While I believe each statement in this book to be true, I also recognize that mistakes are inevitable, and I suspect there are errors within these pages. This is the paradox of the preface, a philosophical conundrum that explores the tension between confidence in individual claims and doubt about their collective truth. Let's pause here for a moment, letting the paradox settle gently into your thoughts. Picture the scene again. the soft glow of a desk lamp illuminating the open book, the faint scent of ink still lingering on the paper. On one hand, you have carefully vetted every assertion in the text, trusting the evidence and reasoning behind it. On the other hand, you know no human endeavor is perfect, and the sheer volume of information makes it statistically likely that some error has slipped through unnoticed. How can you simultaneously believe each part of your work to be true while doubting the entirety of it? The contradiction feels almost poetic, an intellectual tightrope walk between certainty and humility. Now, let's linger here for a moment, imagining the broader implications. This isn't just about books or academic writing, it's about how we navigate belief, knowledge, and fallibility in everyday life. Think about the times you've expressed confidence in specific facts or opinions, whether during a heated debate, a classroom discussion, or even casual conversation. Individually, those statements may seem well-founded, supported by logic, experience, or authority. But when viewed collectively, do they form a coherent whole? Or does the recognition of our own limitations cast a shadow over the entire structure of our beliefs? Life itself mirrors this tension, oscillating between conviction and skepticism, assurance and doubt. Philosophers have wrestled with this paradox, using it to probe the nature of rationality, epistemology, and self-awareness. Some argue that the paradox arises from conflating different levels of belief, that it's possible to trust individual claims without committing to the infallibility of the system they compose. Others suggest that acknowledging fallibility is itself a mark of intellectual honesty, a way of respecting the complexity of truth while embracing uncertainty. Still others see the paradox as evidence of the inherently imperfect nature of human cognition, urging us to balance confidence with caution. But let's bring it back to the study, away from abstract theories and into the realm of human reflection. As you sit there gazing at the preface you've written, feel the weight of the paradox, not as something to resolve but as something to embrace. Isn't there something poetic about the idea that wisdom often lies not in absolute certainty but in the acknowledgement of imperfection? That growth comes not from defending every corner of our worldview but from leaving room for doubt and discovery? Life itself mirrors this dynamic, unfolding through moments of clarity and ambiguity, progress and revision. Take a deep breath now, letting the stillness of the study envelop you. Feel the faint creak of the chair beneath you, the rhythmic ticking of a clock marking the passage of time. Allow yourself to marvel at the complexity of the situation, not as a problem to solve but as a celebration of nuance. There's something oddly comforting about realizing that perfection isn't the goal. Instead, the act of striving toward truth, even imperfectly, is what matters most. As the hours pass and the lamplight grows softer, casting long shadows across the desk, let the image of the book linger softly in your mind. Picture its pages filled with words both certain and uncertain, each one a testament to the interplay of knowledge and doubt. Perhaps tonight, in your dreams, you'll find yourself revisiting those chapters, weighing the strength of individual claims against the fragility of the whole. Or maybe you'll simply sit there, content to embrace the ambiguity, to wonder, to reflect. And so, as you prepare to rest, carry this quiet contemplation with you. Let it remind you that life is full of dualities, each one layered with nuance and possibility. For in the dance of certainty and doubt lies the essence of learning, and the beauty of finding meaning in the incomplete. Number 34. The St. Petersburg Paradox, Infinite Bets, Finite Wealth. Imagine yourself seated at a polished wooden table in a dimly lit casino, the kind where the air hums with anticipation and the faint clinking of chips mingles with murmured conversations. Before you lies a single coin, gleaming softly under the warm glow of an overhead lamp. The dealer leans forward, a sly smile playing on their lips, and explains the rules of a peculiar game. You will flip the coin repeatedly until it lands on tails. If tails appears on the first flip, you win $2. If it comes up on the second flip, you win $4, on the third, $8, and so on, doubling your winnings with each additional flip. The potential payouts stretch infinitely upward, $16, $32, $64 and beyond. The question is simple yet profound. How much would you be willing to pay to play this game? This is the St. Petersburg paradox, a thought experiment that challenges our understanding of value, risk, and rational decision-making. At first glance, the game seems irresistible. After all, the expected value, the average payout you'd anticipate over countless repetitions, is theoretically infinite. With each successive flip, the reward grows exponentially, promising untold riches if luck favors you long enough. Yet here's the paradox. Despite the promise of infinite gains, most people wouldn't wager more than a modest amount to participate. Why does such a lucrative opportunity fail to inspire confidence? Let's pause here for a moment, letting the paradox settle gently into your thoughts. Picture the scene again. The flickering light casting shadows across the table, the weight of the coin resting coolly in your palm. Mathematically speaking, the expected value calculation suggests that no price would be too high to pay for entry. But intuitively, something feels off. Would you really bet your life savings, or even a significant portion of it, on a game where the odds of hitting a truly astronomical payout are vanishingly small? Most likely not. And therein lies the tension between theoretical ideals and practical realities. Now, let's linger here for a moment, imagining the broader implications. This isn't just about gambling or coins, it's about how we assess worth and manage uncertainty in a world of finite resources and infinite possibilities. Think about the times you've faced choices involving risk and reward, investing in a business venture, buying a lottery ticket, or even deciding whether to take a leap of faith in pursuit of a dream. We often weigh probabilities and outcomes, trying to strike a balance between ambition and prudence. The St. Petersburg paradox reminds us that while numbers can guide us, they don't always align with human psychology or lived experience. Philosophers and economists have debated this paradox for centuries, proposing solutions that range from pragmatic to profound. Some argue that diminishing marginal utility, the idea that each additional dollar matters less as wealth increases, explains why people aren't willing to pay exorbitant sums to play. A millionaire might scoff at risking half their fortune for a shot at billions, knowing that losing could devastate their lifestyle far more than winning would enhance it. Others suggest that real-world constraints such as limited time, attention, and patience temper our enthusiasm for games with astronomically low probabilities of success. Still others embrace the paradox as a reminder of the limits of purely mathematical reasoning, urging us to consider emotional and contextual factors alongside cold calculations. But let's bring it back to the casino, away from abstract theories and into the realm of human emotion. As you sit there contemplating the coin, feel the weight of the paradox, not as something to resolve but as something to marvel at. Isn't there something poetic about the way humans navigate risk, balancing logic with instinct, hope with caution? That we're drawn to the allure of possibility yet grounded by the realities of consequence? Life itself mirrors this dynamic, oscillating between bold leaps and measured steps, aspiration and pragmatism. Take a deep breath now, letting the stillness of the casino envelop you. Feel the faint hum of excitement around you, the soft rustle of cards being shuffled, the occasional cheer erupting from nearby tables. Allow yourself to wonder, not as a gambler seeking certainty but as a thinker embracing complexity. There's something oddly comforting about realizing that some decisions defy easy answers, that wisdom often lies in acknowledging the interplay of chance and choice. As the hours pass and the lights grow dimmer, casting long shadows across the room, let the image of the coin linger softly in your mind. Picture its smooth surface glinting faintly, suspended between possibility and outcome. Perhaps tonight, in your dreams, you'll find yourself back at this table, flipping the coin endlessly, watching as fortunes rise and fall with each toss. Or maybe you'll simply sit there, content to embrace the ambiguity, to wonder, to reflect. And so, as you prepare to rest, carry this quiet contemplation with you. Let it remind you that life is full of dualities, each one layered with nuance and possibility. For in the dance of risk and reward lies the essence of adventure, and the beauty of finding meaning in the uncertain. Number 35. The Paradox of Induction, Turkeys and Thanksgiving. Imagine yourself standing in a quiet, sunlit barnyard on a crisp autumn morning. The air carries the faint scent of fallen leaves, and the soft clucking of turkeys fills the silence as they peck contentedly at the ground. Among them is a particularly curious turkey, one that has spent its days observing the world with an almost philosophical curiosity. Each morning, without fail, the farmer arrives to feed the flock, scattering grain across the yard. For this turkey, life seems predictable, even comforting, a series of consistent patterns that suggest tomorrow will always mirror today. But here's the catch: what happens when Thanksgiving arrives? This is the paradox of induction, a thought experiment that challenges our reliance on past experiences to predict future outcomes. Let's pause here for a moment, letting the paradox settle gently into your thoughts. Picture the scene again: the golden light filtering through the trees, the turkeys bustling about their routine, blissfully unaware of the unseen forces shaping their fate. For weeks, maybe months, the turkey has observed the same sequence of events. Dawn breaks, the farmer appears, food is provided. From this pattern, it might reasonably conclude that the farmer's arrival guarantees sustenance, and that tomorrow will unfold just like yesterday. Yet come Thanksgiving morning, the turkey discovers a cruel twist. What seemed like a dependable rule was merely an illusion, shattered by an unforeseen exception. The very logic it relied upon, inductive reasoning, fails precisely because it assumes the future will resemble the past. Now, let's linger here for a moment, imagining the broader implications. This isn't just about turkeys or holidays, it's about how we navigate uncertainty and make sense of the world. Think about the times you've trusted patterns to guide your decisions, expecting traffic to flow smoothly based on previous commutes, assuming good weather because it rained yesterday, or believing a relationship will last because it always has. Inductive reasoning underpins much of human thought. We learn from experience, identifying trends and projecting them forward. But the paradox of induction reminds us that no matter how reliable a pattern seems, exceptions can, and often do, exist. Life itself mirrors this tension, oscillating between order and chaos, predictability and surprise. Philosophers have wrestled with this paradox, using it to question the foundations of scientific inquiry and everyday reasoning. David Hume, who first articulated the problem, argued that induction lacks logical certainty. Just because something has happened repeatedly doesn't guarantee it will happen again. Karl Popper later proposed falsifiability as a solution, suggesting that instead of seeking confirmation, science should aim to disprove hypotheses to strengthen knowledge. Others see the paradox not as a flaw but as a feature of human cognition, urging us to balance trust in patterns with openness to change. But let's bring it back to the barnyard, away from abstract theories and into the realm of human reflection. As you stand there watching the turkeys, feel the weight of the paradox, not as something to resolve but as something to contemplate. Isn't there something poetic about the idea that life resists easy predictions, that the beauty of existence lies in its unpredictability? That while patterns offer comfort, they also invite humility, reminding us to remain vigilant against complacency? Take a deep breath now, letting the stillness of the barnyard envelop you. Feel the cool breeze brushing against your skin, the faint rustle of leaves overhead. Allow yourself to marvel at the complexity of the situation, not as a problem to solve but as a celebration of nuance. There's something oddly comforting about realizing that certainty isn't the goal. Instead, the act of staying alert and adaptable is what matters most. As the hours pass and the sunlight grows warmer, casting dancing shadows across the yard, let the image of the turkeys linger softly in your mind. Picture their carefree movements, their unshaken faith in the rhythm of daily life. Perhaps tonight, in your dreams, you'll find yourself back in this barnyard, witnessing the delicate interplay of expectation and reality. Or maybe you'll simply sit there, content to embrace the ambiguity, to wonder, to reflect. And so, as you prepare to rest, carry this quiet contemplation with you. Let it remind you that life is full of dualities, each one layered with nuance and possibility. For in the dance of prediction and surprise lies the essence of discovery, and the beauty of finding meaning in the unexpected. Number 36. The paradox of entropy, order from disorder. Imagine yourself standing on a quiet beach at dawn, the kind where the world feels suspended between night and day. The tide laps gently at the shore, leaving behind intricate patterns in the sand, swirling ridges, delicate ripples, and tiny trails carved by scuttling crabs. Above you, the sky transitions from deep indigo to soft gold, its colors blending seamlessly like paint on an endless canvas. It's a scene brimming with order and beauty, yet beneath this serene surface lies a profound paradox. The universe is governed by entropy, the relentless march toward disorder. How then does such exquisite structure emerge from chaos? This is the paradox of entropy, a cosmic riddle that challenges our understanding of order, randomness, and the very nature of existence. Let's pause here for a moment, letting the paradox settle gently into your thoughts. Picture this scene again: the rhythmic waves, the intricate designs etched into the sand, the dance of light across the horizon. Each element seems to defy the second law of thermodynamics, which states that systems naturally move from order to disorder, from low entropy to high entropy. Yet here before your eyes is evidence of the opposite: complexity arising from simplicity, harmony emerging from turmoil. Life itself mirrors this dynamic, oscillating between creation and decay, growth and dissolution. Now let's linger here for a moment, imagining the broader implications. This isn't just about beaches or sunrises, it's about how we make sense of the universe's contradictions. Think about the times you've witnessed moments of unexpected order: the spontaneous symmetry of snowflakes, the synchronized flight of birds, or even the way cities evolve from chaotic beginnings into vibrant hubs of activity. These phenomena remind us that while entropy dictates the overall trajectory of the cosmos, localized pockets of order can, and do, emerge. Energy flows through these systems, driving self-organization and creating the conditions for life, art, and meaning to flourish. Scientists and philosophers have wrestled with this paradox, using it to explore the boundaries of physics, biology, and metaphysics. Some argue that order arises not despite entropy but because of it. Energy disperses unevenly, creating gradients that fuel complex processes. Others suggest that life is a temporary rebellion against the inevitable, a fragile flame flickering briefly in the vast expanse of time. Still others see entropy as a lens through which to view human creativity, noting how artists, writers, and thinkers impose structure on raw materials, words, pigments, ideas, transforming disorder into works of enduring beauty. But let's bring it back to the beach, away from abstract theories and into the realm of human reflection. As you stand there gazing at the horizon, feel the weight of the paradox, not as something to resolve but as something to embrace. Isn't there something poetic about the idea that order and chaos are intertwined, that one cannot exist without the other? That the same forces that pull stars apart also give rise to galaxies, ecosystems, and consciousness? Life itself mirrors this tension, unfolding through cycles of destruction and renewal, collapse and rebirth. Take a deep breath now, letting the stillness of the beach envelop you. Feel the cool dampness of the sand beneath your feet, the faint salty tang of the ocean breeze. Allow yourself to marvel at the complexity of the situation, not as a problem to solve but as a celebration of duality. There's something oddly comforting about realizing that impermanence is the foundation of beauty, that fleeting moments of order are all the more precious because they stand against the tide of entropy. As the sun climbs higher in the sky, casting long shadows across the shore, Let the image of the waves linger softly in your mind. Picture their ceaseless motion, carving patterns into the sand only to erase them moments later. Perhaps tonight, in your dreams, you'll find yourself back on this beach, watching as order emerges from chaos and dissolves again, over and over like a cosmic heartbeat. Or maybe you'll simply sit there, content to embrace the ambiguity, to wonder, to reflect. And so, as you prepare to rest, carry this quiet contemplation with you. Let it remind you that life is full of dualities, each one layered with nuance and possibility. For in the dance of order and disorder lies the essence of creation, and the beauty of finding meaning in the transient. Number 37. The paradox of choice: more options, less satisfaction. Imagine yourself standing in the aisle of a sprawling supermarket, the kind where shelves stretch endlessly in every direction, stocked with an overwhelming variety of goods. Before you lies a wall of jam jars, row upon row of gleaming glass containers filled with vibrant hues: strawberry, raspberry, blueberry, apricot, mango, and countless others. Each label promises something unique, something perfect for your taste. Yet as you stand there, gazing at the dazzling array of choices, a strange feeling begins to creep over you, not excitement but anxiety. How do you decide? And more importantly, will you regret your choice once you've made it? This is the paradox of choice, a modern dilemma that challenges our assumption that more options lead to greater happiness. Let's pause here for a moment, letting the paradox settle gently into your thoughts. Picture the scene again, the bright fluorescent lights casting a harsh glow on the neatly arranged jars, the faint hum of refrigerators and distant chatter filling the air. At first glance, the abundance seems like a gift, a testament to freedom and possibility. But as you linger, the weight of decision presses down on you. Will you pick the familiar strawberry, safe and reliable? Or venture into uncharted territory with exotic guava or spiced fig? What if the one you choose doesn't live up to expectations? Suddenly, the simple act of buying jam feels fraught with consequence. Now, let's linger here for a moment, imagining the broader implications. This isn't just about jam or grocery shopping. It's about how we navigate a world saturated with options. Think about the times you've faced similar dilemmas. Choosing a career path from countless possibilities, selecting a vacation destination amid endless recommendations, or even scrolling through streaming services unable to commit to a single movie. In theory, having more choices should empower us, granting agency and control over our lives. Yet research suggests the opposite, that too many options can paralyze us, leading to dissatisfaction, regret, and a nagging sense that we could have done better. Psychologists and economists have explored this paradox extensively, coining terms like choice overload and decision fatigue to describe its effects. Barry Schwartz, who popularized the concept, argues that while some choice is essential for autonomy, excessive options diminish well-being by raising expectations and amplifying self-doubt. When faced with 20 types of jam, it's easy to imagine the perfect flavor existing somewhere among them, even if none actually satisfies. Conversely, when presented with only 3 or 4 options, we're more likely to feel content with our selection, knowing the alternatives were limited. But let's bring it back to the supermarket aisle, away from abstract theories and into the realm of human emotion. As you stand there holding a jar of jam, feel the weight of the paradox, not as something to resolve but as something to contemplate. Isn't there something poetic about the idea that freedom comes with its own burdens? That the very abundance meant to enrich our lives can also overwhelm and confound us? Life itself mirrors this tension, oscillating between the thrill of possibility and the comfort of simplicity. Take a deep breath now, letting the stillness of the aisle envelop you. Feel the cool smoothness of the jar in your hand, the faint stickiness of spilled jam on the shelf beneath your fingertips. Allow yourself to marvel at the complexity of the situation, not as a problem to solve but as a reflection of the delicate balance between freedom and constraint. There's something oddly comforting about realizing that satisfaction often lies not in maximizing options but in embracing limits. As the hours pass and the store grows busier, casting long shadows across the floor, let the image of the jam jars linger softly in your mind. Picture their colorful labels glowing faintly under the fluorescent lights, each one a tiny universe of flavor and potential. Perhaps tonight, in your dreams, you'll find yourself back in this aisle, tasting every variety without hesitation, free from the burden of choice. Or maybe you'll simply sit there, content to embrace the ambiguity, to wonder, to reflect. And so, as you prepare to rest, carry this quiet contemplation with you. Let it remind you that life is full of dualities, each one layered with nuance and possibility. For in the dance of abundance and restraint lies the essence of fulfillment, and the beauty of finding joy in the choices we make, and those we let go. Number 38. The Paradox of Democracy, Majority Rule versus Minority Rights. Imagine yourself seated in a grand circular chamber bathed in the soft glow of sunlight streaming through high stained glass windows. Around you, rows of wooden benches curve outward like the spokes of a wheel, each one occupied by individuals representing diverse voices and perspectives. This is a place of deliberation, where decisions that shape the lives of many are made collectively. Yet as the discussions unfold, a tension arises, one that lies at the heart of democracy itself. How can we uphold the principle of majority rule while safeguarding the rights of minorities? This is the paradox of democracy, a foundational challenge that questions how to balance collective decision-making with individual freedoms. Let's pause here for a moment, letting the paradox settle gently into your thoughts. Picture the scene again, the hum of conversation filling the air, the flicker of light casting shifting patterns on the walls. On one side of the room, passionate advocates argue that the will of the majority must prevail. After all, isn't that the essence of democratic governance? On the other side, equally fervent voices counter that protecting minority rights is just as vital, warning that unchecked majoritarianism risks oppression and injustice. Both sides seem equally compelling, and yet they pull in opposite directions, creating an irresolvable tension at the core of democracy. Now, let's linger here for a moment, imagining the broader implications. This isn't just about legislative chambers or voting systems. It's about how societies navigate difference and power. Think about the times you've witnessed conflicts between group consensus and individual needs. Debates over zoning laws affecting small communities, policies prioritizing economic growth over environmental protections, or social movements demanding recognition from entrenched institutions. In these moments, democracy reveals its dual nature, a system designed to empower the people, but also one vulnerable to the tyranny of the majority if left unchecked. Philosophers and political theorists have wrestled with this paradox for centuries, proposing solutions that range from pragmatic to idealistic. Some advocate for constitutional safeguards, embedding protections for minority rights within legal frameworks that cannot be easily overturned by popular vote. Others emphasize dialogue and compromise, urging citizens to cultivate empathy and mutual respect across divides. Still others highlight the role of civic virtue, suggesting that the strength of democracy depends not on structures alone but on the character of those who participate in it. But let's bring it back to the chamber, away from abstract theories and into the realm of human emotion. As you sit there listening to the impassioned speeches, feel the weight of the paradox, not as something to resolve but as something to embrace. Isn't there something poetic about the idea that democracy thrives precisely because it grapples with contradictions? That the struggle to balance majority rule with minority rights reflects the very essence of freedom, its fragility, complexity, and resilience? Life itself mirrors this dynamic, oscillating between unity and diversity, inclusion and exclusion. Take a deep breath now, letting the stillness of the chamber envelop you. Feel the faint creak of the wooden benches beneath you, the rhythmic tapping of pens against notebooks marking the passage of time. Allow yourself to marvel at the complexity of the situation, not as a problem to solve but as a celebration of nuance. There's something oddly comforting about realizing that no system is perfect. Instead, the act of striving toward justice, even imperfectly, is what matters most. As the hours pass and the sunlight shifts angles, casting long shadows across the floor, let the image of the chamber linger softly in your mind. Picture the faces of those gathered, their expressions reflecting determination, frustration, hope, and doubt. Perhaps tonight, in your dreams, you'll find yourself back in this space, witnessing the delicate interplay of voices rising and falling, searching for common ground amidst disagreement. Or maybe you'll simply sit there, content to embrace the ambiguity, to wonder, to reflect. And so, as you prepare to rest, carry this quiet contemplation with you. Let it remind you that life is full of dualities, each one layered with nuance and possibility. For in the dance of majority and minority lies the essence of democracy, and the beauty of finding meaning in the pursuit of fairness. Number 39. The paradox of altruism, selfish genes helping others. Imagine yourself standing in a quiet forest clearing at dawn, the kind where sunlight filters softly through the canopy, casting dappled patterns on the mossy ground. Before you, a small bird flits between branches, chirping melodiously as it gathers food. But instead of eating the seeds and berries itself, the bird carries them back to its nest to feed its young. Nearby, an older sibling of the chick stands guard, warning of predators even though it could easily fly away to safety. These acts of care and sacrifice seem profoundly selfless, yet they are driven by genes whose sole purpose is survival and replication. This is the paradox of altruism, a biological riddle that explores how behaviors benefiting others can arise from fundamentally selfish origins. Let's pause here for a moment, letting the paradox settle gently into your thoughts. Picture the scene again, the golden light stretching across the clearing, the faint rustle of leaves overhead, and the intricate dance of life unfolding around you. On the surface, altruism appears contradictory to evolutionary principles. Why would individuals risk their own well-being, or even survival, to help others? Yet beneath this apparent contradiction lies a deeper truth. Acts of kindness, cooperation, and sacrifice often serve to propagate shared genetic material, ensuring that the selfish genes carried by both giver and receiver endure across generations. Now, let's linger here for a moment, imagining the broader implications. This isn't just about birds or forests, it's about how we understand generosity, empathy, and cooperation in all living systems. Think about the times you've witnessed acts of altruism in human society. Volunteers risking their lives during disasters, parents sacrificing personal ambitions for their children, or strangers offering help without expecting anything in return. At first glance, these actions seem motivated purely by compassion or morality. But evolutionary biology suggests there may be more at play, a complex interplay of genetics, kinship, reciprocity, and social cohesion shaping our instincts to assist others. Scientists have long grappled with this paradox, using it to probe the mechanisms behind cooperative behavior. Richard Dawkins, who introduced the concept of selfish genes, argues that altruism can evolve when it benefits those who share our genetic makeup, such as family members, or when reciprocal relationships ensure future rewards. Other researchers highlight group selection, suggesting that communities with strong cooperative tendencies outcompete those lacking such bonds. Still others point to cultural evolution, emphasizing how learned norms and values reinforce altruistic behaviors beyond biological imperatives. But let's bring it back to the forest, away from abstract theories and into the realm of human reflection. As you stand there watching the bird tend to its young, feel the weight of the paradox, not as something to resolve but as something to contemplate. Isn't there something poetic about the idea that selfishness and selflessness are intertwined, that the same forces driving competition also foster connection? That life itself thrives not only through individual survival but through mutual support and shared purpose? Take a deep breath now, letting the stillness of the forest envelop you. Feel the cool dampness of the moss beneath your feet, the faint hum of insects buzzing in the background. Allow yourself to marvel at the complexity of the situation, not as a problem to solve but as a celebration of duality. There's something oddly comforting about realizing that altruism doesn't diminish the role of self-interest. Rather, it reveals how deeply interconnected all forms of life truly are. As the hours pass and the sunlight grows warmer, casting dancing shadows across the clearing, let the image of the bird linger softly in your mind. Picture its tireless efforts, its instinctual drive to nurture and protect, even at great cost to itself. Perhaps tonight, in your dreams, you'll find yourself back in this forest, witnessing the delicate balance between giving and receiving, self and other, competition and cooperation. Or maybe you'll simply sit there, content to embrace the ambiguity, to wonder, to reflect. And so, as you prepare to rest, carry this quiet contemplation with you. Let it remind you that life is full of dualities, each one layered with nuance and possibility. For in the dance of selfishness and selflessness lies the essence of existence, and the beauty of finding meaning in the interconnectedness of all things. Number 40. The Paradox of the Cretan. A liar speaks the truth. Imagine yourself standing in a sun-drenched agora of ancient Crete, the kind where marble columns gleam under the Mediterranean sun and the air buzzes with the lively exchange of ideas. Before you stands a philosopher, clad in simple robes, his voice carrying the weight of conviction as he declares, "All Cretans are liars." His words echo through the square, drawing murmurs from the crowd. But here's the twist: the speaker himself is a Cretan. If his statement is true, then he too must be a liar, and thus his declaration cannot be trusted. Yet if he is lying, then not all Cretans are liars, which means his statement might hold some truth. This is the paradox of the Cretan, a riddle that challenges our understanding of truth, falsehood, and self-reference. Let's pause here for a moment, letting the paradox settle gently into your thoughts. Picture the scene again: the bustling marketplace filled with merchants, scholars, and curious onlookers, the faint scent of olive oil wafting through the air. The philosopher's assertion seems straightforward at first, a bold claim about the character of his people, but upon closer inspection, it unravels into a tangled web of contradiction. How can someone declare themselves part of a group defined by dishonesty without undermining their own credibility? The more you ponder, the more the statement twists back on itself, leaving you caught in an endless loop of logic. Now, let's linger here for a moment, imagining the broader implications. This isn't just about Cretans or philosophers, it's about how we navigate language, identity, and the limits of expression. Think about the times you've encountered statements that seem to contradict themselves. "I always lie," "this sentence is false," or even playful paradoxes like, "less is more." Each one forces us to confront the boundaries of meaning, revealing how easily words can blur the line between truth and falsehood. Life itself mirrors this tension, oscillating between clarity and ambiguity, certainty and doubt. Philosophers have wrestled with this paradox for centuries, using it to explore the foundations of logic, semantics, and epistemology. Some argue that the statement creates a logical impossibility, suggesting that self-referential claims inherently undermine their own validity. Others propose refining the rules of language to prevent such contradictions, urging us to distinguish between different levels of discourse. Still others see the paradox as evidence of the inherent complexity of truth, reminding us that reality often resists neat categorization. But let's bring it back to the agora, away from abstract theories and into the realm of human reflection. As you stand there listening to the philosopher, feel the weight of the paradox, not as something to resolve but as something to embrace. Isn't there something poetic about the idea that truth and falsehood are intertwined, that the act of speaking shapes what we seek to describe? That language itself is both a tool for discovery and a source of mystery? Life itself mirrors this dynamic, unfolding through moments of revelation and confusion, clarity and paradox. Take a deep breath now, letting the stillness of the square envelop you. Feel the warmth of the sun on your skin, the faint hum of conversation around you. Allow yourself to marvel at the complexity of the situation, not as a problem to solve but as a celebration of nuance. There's something oddly comforting about realizing that truth isn't always absolute. Instead, the act of questioning and exploring is what deepens our understanding. As the hours pass and the sunlight shifts angles, casting long shadows across the marble floor, let the image of the philosopher linger softly in your mind. Picture his serene expression, his unwavering gaze, the subtle tension in his posture as he delivers his enigmatic declaration. Perhaps tonight, in your dreams, you'll find yourself back in this agora, wrestling with the paradox anew, weighing the interplay of honesty and deception, logic and intuition. Or maybe you'll simply sit there, content to embrace the ambiguity, to wonder, to reflect. And so, as you prepare to rest, carry this quiet contemplation with you. Let it remind you that life is full of dualities, each one layered with nuance and possibility. For in the dance of truth and falsehood lies the essence of inquiry, and the beauty of finding meaning in the unanswerable. Number 41. The Paradox of the Stone, Defining Infinity Physically. Imagine yourself standing in a vast, empty desert at twilight, where the horizon stretches endlessly in every direction and the sky transitions from deep indigo to soft amber. At your feet lies an enormous stone, its surface rough and weathered, yet somehow perfect in its form. This is no ordinary stone, it represents infinity, a concept too immense for human comprehension. Now picture this: can you lift this infinite stone? If you can, then the stone isn't truly infinite because it has a weight within your capacity to move. But if you cannot lift it, then it must have a finite limit. Your strength defines its boundary. This is the paradox of the stone, a thought experiment that probes the limits of physical possibility and challenges our understanding of infinity. Let's pause here for a moment, letting the paradox settle gently into your thoughts. Picture the scene again: the endless expanse of sand beneath your feet, the faint whisper of wind carrying grains across the dunes, and the towering presence of the stone before you. It looms large, symbolizing something beyond measure, yet its very existence invites questions about definition and limitation. How do we reconcile the idea of infinity, a boundless, limitless notion, with the tangible realities of mass, weight, and human capability? The paradox forces us to confront whether infinity can ever exist physically or if it remains forever confined to abstract realms. Now, let's linger here for a moment, imagining the broader implications. This isn't just about stones or strength, it's about how we grapple with concepts that defy practical application. Think about the times you've tried to visualize infinity, the eternal stretch of the universe, the unbroken chain of numbers spiraling upward, or the timeless flow of a river carving through rock. Each image feels vast and awe-inspiring, yet ultimately incomplete. Our minds crave boundaries, edges, and endpoints, things we can grasp, but infinity resists such containment. Life itself mirrors this tension, oscillating between the measurable and the immeasurable, the finite and the infinite. Philosophers and scientists have wrestled with this paradox, using it to explore the nature of absolutes, definitions, and logical consistency. Some argue that infinity cannot manifest physically because all material objects are inherently limited by their properties, such as size, density, or mass. Others suggest that infinity exists only as a theoretical construct, useful for mathematics and metaphysics but impossible to embody materially. Still others embrace the paradox as evidence of the limitations of language and logic, urging us to accept that some ideas transcend conventional frameworks. But let's bring it back to the desert, away from abstract theories and into the realm of human reflection. As you stand there gazing at the stone, feel the weight of the paradox, not as something to resolve but as something to contemplate. Isn't there something poetic about the idea that infinity eludes physical representation precisely because it embodies the intangible? That attempting to define it only highlights its ineffability? Life itself mirrors this dynamic, unfolding through cycles of creation and dissolution, growth and decay, always hinting at something greater than what we can perceive. Take a deep breath now, letting the stillness of the desert envelop you. Feel the cool grit of sand slipping between your fingers, the faint chill of dusk settling over the landscape. Allow yourself to marvel at the complexity of the situation, not as a problem to solve but as a celebration of wonder. There's something oddly comforting about realizing that not everything needs to fit neatly into categories. Sometimes the beauty lies in the act of questioning, exploring, and embracing mystery. As the hours pass and the stars begin to emerge, casting faint glimmers of light across the stone, let the image of infinity linger softly in your mind. Picture its rough surface stretching outward indefinitely, defying measurement or constraint. Perhaps tonight, in your dreams, you'll find yourself back in this desert, wrestling with the paradox anew, trying to lift the stone, tracing its edges, searching for meaning in its contradictions. Or maybe you'll simply sit there, content to embrace the ambiguity, to wonder, to reflect. And so, as you prepare to rest, carry this quiet contemplation with you. Let it remind you that life is full of dualities, each one layered with nuance and possibility. For in the dance of the finite and the infinite lies the essence of exploration, and the beauty of finding meaning in the unknowable. Number 42. The Paradox of the Heap Revisited, Vagueness Redefined. Imagine yourself seated on a soft patch of grass in a quiet countryside, the kind where the air smells faintly of earth and wildflowers, and the only sound is the gentle rustle of leaves overhead. Before you lies a pile of sand, golden grains shimmering softly under the afternoon sun. You take a single grain between your fingers and let it fall back onto the heap. Surely this one grain doesn't change anything, the pile remains a heap. But what if you repeat the process? One grain at a time, you remove them, watching as the mound gradually diminishes. At what point does it cease to be a heap? This is the paradox of the heap revisited, a timeless riddle that challenges our understanding of vagueness, boundaries, and the nature of definition itself. Let's pause here for a moment, letting the paradox settle gently into your thoughts. Picture the scene again, the sunlight filtering through the trees, casting long shadows across the ground, the texture of the sand shifting subtly with each movement of your hand. On one hand, removing a single grain seems inconsequential. After all, no reasonable person would argue that losing one speck transforms the heap into something else. Yet, if you continue this process long enough, eventually there will be nothing left but scattered grains, and certainly not a heap. So when exactly does the transition occur? Is there some invisible threshold where the heap ceases to exist? Now let's linger here for a moment, imagining the broader implications. This isn't just about sand or heaps, it's about how we navigate ambiguity and classification in everyday life. Think about the times you've encountered vague concepts. When does a group of friends become a crowd? When does a stream become a river? Or even more personally, when does someone go from being an acquaintance to a close friend? These questions resist clear answers because they depend on subjective judgment, context, and perspective. Life itself mirrors this tension, oscillating between precision and fuzziness, certainty and uncertainty. Philosophers have wrestled with this paradox, using it to explore the foundations of language, logic, and human cognition. Some argue that vagueness is an inherent feature of reality, suggesting that precise definitions are often artificial constructs imposed on a fluid world. Others propose introducing arbitrary thresholds, such as declaring a heap to consist of exactly 10,000 grains, to simplify decision-making, even though such rules may feel contrived. Still others embrace the paradox as evidence of the richness of human thought, urging us to accept ambiguity as a natural part of existence rather than a flaw to be resolved. But let's bring it back to the grassy field, away from abstract theories and into the realm of human reflection. As you sit there contemplating the diminishing heap, feel the weight of the paradox, not as something to resolve but as something to marvel at. Isn't there something poetic about the idea that meaning and identity are fluid, shaped by context and perception? That the act of defining is less about discovering absolutes and more about navigating nuances? Life itself mirrors this dynamic, unfolding through moments of clarity and ambiguity, structure and spontaneity. Take a deep breath now, letting the stillness of the field envelop you. Feel the cool dampness of the grass beneath your fingertips, the faint warmth of the sun on your skin. Allow yourself to marvel at the complexity of the situation, not as a problem to solve but as a celebration of nuance. There's something oddly comforting about realizing that not everything needs sharp edges. Sometimes the beauty lies in the blur, the overlap, the in-between. As the hours pass and the sunlight grows softer, casting dancing shadows across the diminishing pile, let the image of the heap linger softly in your mind. Picture its gradual transformation, the way it shrinks without any single moment of dramatic change. Perhaps tonight, in your dreams, you'll find yourself back in this field, watching as the grains slip through your fingers, exploring the delicate interplay of presence and absence, form and void. Or maybe you'll simply sit there, content to embrace the ambiguity, to wonder, to reflect. And so, as you prepare to rest, carry this quiet contemplation with you. Let it remind you that life is full of dualities, each one layered with nuance and possibility. For in the dance of vagueness and precision lies the essence of understanding, and the beauty of finding meaning in the undefined. Number 43. The Paradox of the Knower, knowing what you don't know. Imagine yourself seated in a quiet library, the kind where the scent of old books mingles with the faint aroma of polished wood, and the only sounds are the soft rustle of turning pages and the occasional creak of floorboards. Before you lies an open book, its pages filled with dense text and cryptic symbols that seem to dance teasingly just beyond your comprehension. As you read, a peculiar thought begins to surface. Can you truly know something if part of that knowledge includes uncertainty? This is the paradox of the knower, a philosophical conundrum that challenges our understanding of knowledge, self-awareness, and the limits of what it means to know. Let's pause here for a moment, letting the paradox settle gently into your thoughts. Picture the scene again, the warm glow of a desk lamp casting light onto the page, the faint hum of silence enveloping the room. On one hand, knowing implies certainty. It suggests mastery over a subject, clarity without ambiguity. Yet on the other hand, true wisdom often involves recognizing the gaps in our understanding, acknowledging what we don't know. How can these two ideas coexist? If knowledge requires awareness of its own boundaries, doesn't that make it inherently incomplete? The more you reflect, the more the concept twists back on itself, leaving you caught between confidence and doubt. Now, let's linger here for a moment, imagining the broader implications. This isn't just about books or libraries, it's about how we navigate the vast landscape of human inquiry. Think about the times you've grappled with complex questions, trying to understand a scientific principle, mastering a new skill, or even reflecting on personal growth. At first, ignorance feels like a void, a space waiting to be filled. But as you learn, you begin to realize how much more there is to discover. Each answer spawns new questions, each insight reveals further mysteries. Life itself mirrors this tension, oscillating between knowing and not knowing, mastery and humility. Philosophers have wrestled with this paradox, using it to probe the foundations of epistemology, the study of knowledge, and the nature of self-awareness. Some argue that true knowledge must include metacognition, or knowing about knowing, which inherently introduces uncertainty. Others suggest that the paradox arises from conflating different types of knowledge: factual knowledge, knowing that, versus procedural knowledge, knowing how, or explicit knowledge versus tacit understanding. Still others embrace the paradox as evidence of the dynamic, evolving nature of learning, urging us to view knowledge not as a static endpoint but as a living process. But let's bring it back to the library, away from abstract theories and into the realm of human reflection. As you sit there gazing at the open book, feel the weight of the paradox, not as something to resolve but as something to contemplate. Isn't there something poetic about the idea that wisdom grows not by eliminating uncertainty but by embracing it? That the act of seeking knowledge deepens our appreciation for the unknown? Life itself mirrors this dynamic, unfolding through moments of discovery and wonder, clarity and mystery. Take a deep breath now, letting the stillness of the library envelop you. Feel the cool smoothness of the wooden table beneath your hands, the faint grit of paper under your fingertips. Allow yourself to marvel at the complexity of the situation, not as a problem to solve but as a celebration of nuance. There's something oddly comforting about realizing that knowledge isn't about reaching perfection. Instead, the act of striving toward understanding, even imperfectly, is what matters most. As the hours pass and the lamplight grows softer, casting long shadows across the room, let the image of the book linger softly in your mind. Picture its pages filled with words both familiar and foreign, each one a testament to the interplay of knowing and unknowing. Perhaps tonight, in your dreams, you'll find yourself back in this library, exploring the paradox anew, turning pages, tracing symbols, searching for meaning in their contradictions. Or maybe you'll simply sit there, content to embrace the ambiguity, to wonder, to reflect. And so, as you prepare to rest, carry this quiet contemplation with you. Let it remind you that life is full of dualities, each one layered with nuance and possibility. For in the dance of knowing and not knowing lies the essence of inquiry, and the beauty of finding meaning in the endless pursuit of understanding. Number 44. The paradox of perfection: flaws make things perfect. Imagine yourself standing in a quiet art gallery, the kind where the air feels almost sacred, and the faint echo of footsteps against polished floors adds to the reverence of the space. Before you hangs a painting, a breathtaking landscape rendered in soft strokes of gold, green, and azure. The scene is idyllic: rolling hills bathed in sunlight, a serene lake reflecting the sky, and distant mountains shrouded in mist. But as you step closer, you notice something unexpected: a tiny imperfection. Perhaps it's a brushstroke slightly out of place, or a fleck of paint that doesn't quite blend with the rest. Yet somehow this flaw doesn't detract from the beauty of the piece. Instead, it enhances it, giving the work character and soul. This is the paradox of perfection, a gentle reminder that flaws are not merely deviations. They are often what make things uniquely perfect. Let's pause here for a moment, letting the paradox settle gently into your thoughts. Picture the scene again: the soft glow of spotlights illuminating the canvas, the faint hum of quiet admiration from other visitors, and the intricate details of the painting revealing themselves under closer inspection. On one hand, perfection suggests an ideal state, a flawless, unattainable standard beyond reproach. Yet on the other hand, true perfection often lies in imperfection itself. The quirks, asymmetries, and irregularities that give life its texture and depth. Without these nuances, would the painting still feel alive? Would it resonate so deeply? Now, let's linger here for a moment, imagining the broader implications. This isn't just about paintings or art, it's about how we perceive beauty, value, and authenticity in all aspects of life. Think about the times you've encountered moments of imperfect perfection. The crackle of vinyl records adding warmth to music, the weathered charm of an old book whose pages have been lovingly turned countless times, or even the laughter lines etched into someone's face, telling stories of joy and resilience. These imperfections don't diminish their worth. They elevate it, reminding us that perfection isn't sterile or uniform but dynamic and human. Philosophers and thinkers have long grappled with this paradox, using it to explore the tension between ideals and reality. Some argue that perfection exists only as a concept, a platonic form that guides our aspirations but remains forever intangible. Others suggest that perfection is inherently subjective, shaped by personal experiences, cultural contexts, and emotional connections. Still others embrace the paradox as evidence of the richness of existence, urging us to celebrate imperfection as a source of uniqueness and meaning. But let's bring it back to the gallery, away from abstract theories and into the realm of human reflection. As you stand there gazing at the painting, feel the weight of the paradox, not as something to resolve but as something to marvel at. Isn't there something poetic about the idea that perfection and imperfection are intertwined, that one cannot exist without the other? That the very qualities we might dismiss as flaws are often what make something, or someone, irreplaceable? Life itself mirrors this dynamic, oscillating between striving for excellence and embracing the beauty of being unfinished. Take a deep breath now, letting the stillness of the gallery envelop you. Feel the cool smoothness of the floor beneath your feet, the faint scent of oil paints lingering in the air. Allow yourself to marvel at the complexity of the situation, not as a problem to solve but as a celebration of nuance. There's something oddly comforting about realizing that nothing needs to be flawless to be meaningful. Sometimes the cracks let the light in. As the hours pass and the sunlight shifts angles, casting long shadows across the room, let the image of the painting linger softly in your mind. Picture its delicate imperfections glowing faintly under the spotlight, each one a testament to the artist's humanity and vision. Perhaps tonight, in your dreams, you'll find yourself back in this gallery, exploring the paradox anew, tracing the brushstrokes, uncovering hidden layers, searching for meaning in their contradictions. Or maybe you'll simply sit there, content to embrace the ambiguity, to wonder, to reflect. And so, as you prepare to rest, carry this quiet contemplation with you. Let it remind you that life is full of dualities, each one layered with nuance and possibility. For in the dance of perfection and imperfection lies the essence of creation, and the beauty of finding meaning in the imperfectly whole. Number 45. The Paradox of Eternal Return. Living life infinitely. Imagine yourself standing on a windswept cliff at twilight, the kind where the horizon blurs into an endless expanse of sea and sky, and the air carries the faint tang of salt and spray. Before you stretches not just the ocean but time itself, an infinite loop where every moment you've lived, every decision you've made will recur endlessly, eternally. This is the paradox of eternal return, a thought experiment that challenges our understanding of existence, choice, and meaning. What if your life, every joy, every sorrow, every fleeting second, is destined to repeat infinitely? Would this knowledge burden you with despair or fill you with awe? Let's pause here for a moment, letting the paradox settle gently into your thoughts. Picture the scene again, the rhythmic crash of waves against the rocks below, the golden hues of sunset fading into deep indigo, and the vastness of eternity stretching before you like an unbroken circle. On one hand, the idea of eternal recurrence feels suffocating. To relive every mistake, every regret, every heartbreak over and over again seems unbearable. Yet on the other hand, it also carries a strange kind of liberation. If everything returns, then nothing truly ends. Every moment holds infinite weight, imbuing even the smallest acts with profound significance. How would you live differently if you knew your life would echo forever? Now, let's linger here for a moment, imagining the broader implications. This isn't just about cliffs or sunsets, it's about how we approach the finite nature of human existence. Think about the times you've reflected on your own life, the choices you've made, the paths you've taken, the moments you wish you could reclaim or redo. Most of us operate under the assumption that time moves linearly, one direction, no return. But what if that assumption is wrong? What if every action, every word, every breath exists in a perpetual cycle, looping back upon itself without end? Life itself mirrors this tension, oscillating between the desire for permanence and the inevitability of change. Philosophers have wrestled with this paradox, using it to explore the foundations of ethics, purpose, and free will. Friedrich Nietzsche, who popularized the concept, argued that embracing eternal recurrence requires living authentically, with courage, passion, and integrity, as though each moment matters infinitely. Others see the paradox as a psychological test, urging individuals to confront whether they would find solace or torment in repeating their lives exactly as they are. Still others interpret it metaphorically, suggesting that while literal recurrence may be unlikely, the idea can inspire us to cherish the present and act with intention. But let's bring it back to the cliff, away from abstract theories and into the realm of human reflection. As you stand there gazing at the horizon, feel the weight of the paradox, not as something to resolve but as something to contemplate. Isn't there something poetic about the idea that infinity doesn't diminish the value of the finite but amplifies it? That knowing your life might repeat infinitely invites you to live more fully, more consciously in the now? Life itself mirrors this dynamic, unfolding through cycles of beginnings and endings, loss and renewal. Take a deep breath now, letting the stillness of the cliff envelop you. Feel the cool breeze brushing against your skin, the faint rhythm of waves crashing below. Allow yourself to marvel at the complexity of the situation, not as a problem to solve but as a celebration of nuance. There's something oddly comforting about realizing that impermanence and eternity are not opposites. Instead, they coexist, shaping the way we experience time and meaning. As the hours pass and the stars begin to emerge, casting faint glimmers of light across the darkening sky, let the image of the endless horizon linger softly in your mind. Picture the waves rolling in, retreating, only to return again, a reminder of the cyclical nature of existence. Perhaps tonight, in your dreams, you'll find yourself back on this cliff, exploring the paradox anew, watching the same sunset unfold again and again, searching for meaning in its repetition. Or maybe you'll simply sit there, content to embrace the ambiguity, to wonder, to reflect. And so, as you prepare to rest, carry this quiet contemplation with you. Let it remind you that life is full of dualities, each one layered with nuance and possibility. For in the dance of finitude and infinity lies the essence of being, and the beauty of finding meaning in the eternal now. Number 46. The Paradox of Quantum Immortality, Surviving Against Odds. Imagine yourself standing in a stark, sterile room bathed in cold fluorescent light. Before you lies a peculiar contraption, a quantum-triggered device linked to a radioactive atom. If the atom decays, the machine releases a lethal gas. If it doesn't, you live to see another moment. This setup, known as Schrödinger's cat brought to life, is not just a thought experiment but the stage for the paradox of quantum immortality. According to some interpretations of quantum mechanics, every possible outcome of a probabilistic event exists in parallel universes. In one universe, the atom decays and you perish. In another, it does not, and you survive. From your subjective perspective, only the surviving versions of yourself continue to experience reality, effectively rendering you immortal within your own conscious timeline. But how does this unsettling idea reshape our understanding of existence, chance, and mortality? Let's pause here for a moment, letting the paradox settle gently into your thoughts. Picture the scene again. The hum of the machinery, the faint metallic scent lingering in the air, and the eerie stillness of anticipation. On one hand, the concept seems absurd. Immortality feels like something reserved for myths or science fiction, not a consequence of quantum probabilities. Yet on the other hand, if consciousness persists only along paths where survival occurs, then death becomes an event you can never personally witness. It always happens elsewhere, in branches of reality you no longer inhabit. The more you reflect, the more the notion twists back on itself, leaving you caught between awe and unease. Now, let's linger here for a moment, imagining the broader implications. This isn't just about hypothetical machines or quantum physics, it's about how we confront uncertainty, risk, and the inevitability of death. Think about the times you've faced moments of peril, narrowly avoiding an accident, surviving a serious illness, or even simply navigating the randomness of daily life. Each near miss might feel like luck, fate, or divine intervention. But what if these close calls were glimpses of quantum branching, where your continued existence was guaranteed by the very structure of reality? Life itself mirrors this tension, oscillating between fragility and resilience, chaos and continuity. Physicists and philosophers have debated this paradox, using it to probe the boundaries of quantum mechanics, consciousness, and the multiverse theory. Some argue that quantum immortality remains speculative at best, pointing out that while parallel universes may exist, there is no empirical way to verify their impact on individual experience. Others suggest that the paradox highlights the limitations of human perception, urging us to question whether our subjective reality is truly representative of objective truth. Still others embrace the paradox as evidence of the profound interconnectedness of all possibilities, reminding us that existence defies simple categorization. But let's bring it back to the sterile room, away from abstract theories and into the realm of human reflection. As you stand there contemplating the machine, feel the weight of the paradox, not as something to resolve but as something to marvel at. Isn't there something poetic about the idea that survival could be woven into the fabric of reality itself? That even in the face of overwhelming odds, some version of you persists, defying the void? Life itself mirrors this dynamic, unfolding through cycles of risk and endurance, loss and renewal. Take a deep breath now, letting the stillness of the room envelop you. Feel the cool hardness of the floor beneath your feet, the faint vibration of the machine humming softly nearby. Allow yourself to marvel at the complexity of the situation, not as a problem to solve but as a celebration of wonder. There's something oddly comforting about realizing that mortality and immortality are not opposites but facets of the same enigma, shaping the way we navigate time and chance. As the hours pass and the light grows dimmer, casting long shadows across the sterile walls, let the image of the machine linger softly in your mind. Picture its mechanisms frozen mid-motion, poised between decay and stability, life and death. Perhaps tonight, in your dreams, you'll find yourself back in this room, exploring the paradox anew, watching as the atom teeters on the edge of collapse, searching for meaning in its dual outcomes. Or maybe you'll simply sit there, content to embrace the ambiguity, to wonder, to reflect. And so, as you prepare to rest, carry this quiet contemplation with you. Let it remind you that life is full of dualities, each one layered with nuance and possibility. For in the dance of chance and certainty lies the essence of existence, and the beauty of finding meaning in the improbable. Number 47. The paradox of material constitution. Is the statue the clay? Imagine yourself standing in a quiet art studio bathed in soft, diffused light. Before you lies a lump of clay, smooth and malleable, waiting to be shaped by skilled hands. As you watch, an artist begins to mold it, coaxing form from formlessness until a statue emerges, a figure poised with grace, every curve and detail imbued with intention. But here's the question that lingers in the air. Is the statue the same thing as the clay from which it was made? At first glance, the answer seems obvious. They are one and the same material. Yet upon closer reflection, doubts arise. This is the paradox of material constitution, a philosophical riddle that challenges our understanding of identity, transformation, and the nature of objects. Let's pause here for a moment, letting the paradox settle gently into your thoughts. Picture the scene again. The faint scent of damp clay filling the room, the rhythmic motion of the artist's hands shaping the material into something new. On one hand, the statue appears inseparable from the clay. Without the clay there would be no statue. Yet on the other hand, the two seem distinct. A lump of clay lacks purpose or form, while the statue carries meaning and design. If they are truly identical, how can we account for their differing properties? And if they are not identical, where does one end and the other begin? Now, let's linger here for a moment, imagining the broader implications. This isn't just about statues or clay, it's about how we define and relate to the objects around us. Think about the times you've encountered transformations in everyday life. A tree carved into a chair, a block of marble sculpted into a masterpiece, or even raw ingredients combined to create a meal. Each transformation raises similar questions. Does the essence of the original remain intact, or does something fundamentally new come into being? Life itself mirrors this tension, oscillating between permanence and change, continuity and reinvention. Philosophers have wrestled with this paradox for centuries, using it to explore the foundations of metaphysics and ontology. Some argue that the statue and the clay are indeed identical, suggesting that differences in form and function do not alter their fundamental substance. Others propose a distinction based on levels of description, arguing that while the statue and the clay occupy the same physical space, they exist conceptually as separate entities, one defined by its material composition, the other by its artistic intent. Still others embrace the paradox as evidence of the fluidity of identity, urging us to recognize that objects often defy rigid categorization. But let's bring it back to the studio, away from abstract theories and into the realm of human reflection. As you stand there gazing at the newly formed statue, feel the weight of the paradox, not as something to resolve but as something to contemplate. Isn't there something poetic about the idea that creation involves both preservation and transformation? That the same material can hold multiple identities, each valid in its own right? Life itself mirrors this dynamic, unfolding through cycles of growth and adaptation, loss and renewal. Take a deep breath now, letting the stillness of the studio envelop you. Feel the cool dampness of the clay beneath your fingertips, the faint texture of fingerprints left behind by the artist's touch. Allow yourself to marvel at the complexity of the situation, not as a problem to solve but as a celebration of nuance. There's something oddly comforting about realizing that identity isn't fixed. Instead, it evolves, shaped by context and perspective. As the hours pass and the sunlight shifts angles, casting long shadows across the room, let the image of the statue linger softly in your mind. Picture its elegant form glowing faintly under the studio lights, each curve and contour a testament to the interplay of material and meaning. Perhaps tonight, in your dreams, you'll find yourself back in this studio, exploring the paradox anew, watching as the clay transforms into countless shapes, searching for meaning in their duality. Or maybe you'll simply sit there, content to embrace the ambiguity, to wonder, to reflect. And so, as you prepare to rest, carry this quiet contemplation with you. Let it remind you that life is full of dualities, each one layered with nuance and possibility. For in the dance of sameness and difference lies the essence of creation, and the beauty of finding meaning in the ever-changing. Number 48. The Paradox of the Labyrinth, Escaping by Staying Put. Imagine yourself standing at the entrance of a vast ancient labyrinth carved into the earth, its towering stone walls stretching endlessly in every direction. The air is cool and still, carrying the faint scent of moss and damp stone. Before you lies a winding path, twisting and turning unpredictably, vanishing into shadowy corners that seem to defy logic. Your goal is clear: find the exit. But as you step forward, a peculiar thought begins to surface. What if the only way out is to stay exactly where you are? This is the paradox of the labyrinth, a riddle that challenges our understanding of action, patience, and the nature of escape itself. Let's pause here for a moment, letting the paradox settle gently into your thoughts. Picture the scene again. the intricate network of passages stretching out before you, the faint echo of your footsteps reverberating against the walls, the weight of uncertainty pressing down on you. On one hand, movement feels essential. Surely, progress requires effort, exploration, and determination. Yet on the other hand, what if the labyrinth's design is such that every step forward leads deeper into its maze, while remaining still allows the solution to reveal itself? The more you reflect, the more the concept twists back on itself, leaving you caught between action and inaction. Now, let's linger here for a moment, imagining the broader implications. This isn't just about labyrinths or puzzles, it's about how we navigate the complexities of life. Think about the times you've faced challenges, searching for solutions to problems, striving toward goals, or trying to escape difficult situations. Often, we believe that taking bold steps or making dramatic changes will lead us to resolution. But what if, in some cases, the answer lies not in relentless pursuit but in quiet stillness? Life itself mirrors this tension, oscillating between motion and rest, effort and surrender. Philosophers and thinkers have explored similar paradoxes, using them to probe the nature of decision-making, mindfulness, and the human condition. Some argue that stillness can be a form of action, a deliberate choice to wait, observe, and allow circumstances to unfold naturally. Others suggest that true wisdom involves discerning when to act and when to remain patient, recognizing that not all paths require forceful navigation. Still others embrace the paradox as evidence of the counterintuitive nature of existence, urging us to question conventional assumptions about progress and success. But let's bring it back to the labyrinth, away from abstract theories and into the realm of human reflection. As you stand there contemplating your next move, feel the weight of the paradox, not as something to resolve but as something to marvel at. Isn't there something poetic about the idea that sometimes the most effective action is no action at all? That staying put might be an act of trust, allowing the labyrinth to guide you rather than fighting against it? Life itself mirrors this dynamic, unfolding through moments of struggle and surrender, clarity and confusion. Take a deep breath now, letting the stillness of the labyrinth envelop you. Feel the cool roughness of the stone beneath your fingertips, the faint hum of silence surrounding you. Allow yourself to marvel at the complexity of the situation, not as a problem to solve but as a celebration of nuance. There's something oddly comforting about realizing that not every challenge demands immediate intervention. Sometimes the act of waiting reveals hidden truths. As the hours pass and the light grows dimmer, casting long shadows across the labyrinth's corridors, let the image of the winding paths linger softly in your mind. Picture their intricate patterns glowing faintly in the fading light, each turn and twist a testament to the interplay of chaos and order. Perhaps tonight, in your dreams, you'll find yourself back in this labyrinth, exploring the paradox anew, walking its paths, tracing its edges, searching for meaning in its contradictions. Or maybe you'll simply sit there, content to embrace the ambiguity, to wonder, to reflect. And so, as you prepare to rest, carry this quiet contemplation with you. Let it remind you that life is full of dualities, each one layered with nuance and possibility. For in the dance of action and stillness lies the essence of navigation, and the beauty of finding meaning in the uncharted. Number 49. The paradox of the false alarm, trusting uncertainty. Imagine yourself standing in a quiet, dimly lit control room filled with blinking lights and softly humming machinery. Before you lies a panel of monitors displaying various data streams, temperature readings, pressure levels, motion sensors, all designed to detect anomalies and warn of potential danger. Suddenly, an alarm blares, its sharp tones slicing through the stillness. The system indicates a critical failure is imminent. But here's the catch: the alarm has been wrong before. In fact, past experience suggests it often triggers false alarms, causing unnecessary panic and wasted resources. Do you trust the warning and take immediate action, or dismiss it as another false signal? This is the paradox of the false alarm, a conundrum that challenges our ability to navigate uncertainty, risk, and trust in imperfect systems. Let's pause here for a moment, letting the paradox settle gently into your thoughts. Picture the scene again, the faint glow of screens casting shifting patterns on the walls, the tension in the air thick enough to touch. On one hand, ignoring the alarm risks catastrophic consequences if the threat turns out to be real. Yet on the other hand, reacting to every alert without question leads to inefficiency, fatigue, and diminished confidence in the system itself. How do you strike a balance between vigilance and skepticism when the stakes are high but the information is unreliable? Now, let's linger here for a moment, imagining the broader implications. This isn't just about alarms or control rooms, it's about how we respond to uncertainty in all areas of life. Think about the times you've faced ambiguous warnings, weather forecasts predicting storms that never materialize, medical tests hinting at conditions that prove benign, or even gut feelings urging caution despite no clear evidence of danger. Each situation forces us to weigh probabilities, assess risks, and decide whether to act or hold back. Life itself mirrors this tension, oscillating between overreaction and complacency, preparation and doubt. Philosophers and decision theorists have explored this paradox, using it to probe the foundations of rationality, trust, and human judgment. Some argue that the solution lies in improving the reliability of systems, developing better algorithms, refining predictive models, or calibrating thresholds to minimize errors. Others suggest that individuals must cultivate resilience, learning to tolerate ambiguity while maintaining readiness for genuine threats. Still others embrace the paradox as evidence of the inherent unpredictability of life, urging us to accept that certainty is often unattainable and that wisdom lies in adapting to uncertainty rather than seeking to eliminate it. But let's bring it back to the control room, away from abstract theories and into the realm of human reflection. As you stand there listening to the alarm's insistent wail, feel the weight of the paradox, not as something to resolve but as something to contemplate. Isn't there something poetic about the idea that trust requires embracing imperfection? That relying on uncertain systems demands both courage and humility? Life itself mirrors this dynamic, unfolding through cycles of anticipation and response, faith and doubt. Take a deep breath now, letting the stillness of the control room envelop you. Feel the cool smoothness of the console beneath your hands, the faint vibration of machinery humming softly around you. Allow yourself to marvel at the complexity of the situation, not as a problem to solve but as a celebration of nuance. There's something oddly comforting about realizing that not every decision needs absolute clarity. Sometimes the act of trusting amidst uncertainty reveals deeper insights about resilience and adaptability. As the hours pass and the alarm fades into silence, casting long shadows across the room, let the image of the blinking monitors linger softly in your mind. Picture their glowing displays flickering faintly, each reading a testament to the interplay of signal and noise, truth and error. Perhaps tonight, in your dreams, you'll find yourself back in this control room, exploring the paradox anew, interpreting signals, weighing risks, searching for meaning in their contradictions. Or maybe you'll simply sit there, content to embrace the ambiguity, to wonder, to reflect. And so, as you prepare to rest, carry this quiet contemplation with you. Let it remind you that life is full of dualities, each one layered with nuance and possibility. For in the dance of certainty and uncertainty lies the essence of decision-making, and the beauty of finding meaning in the unpredictable. Number 50. The final paradox, ending where we began. Imagine yourself standing at the edge of a circular path, winding through a serene forest bathed in the golden light of dawn. The air is crisp and fragrant with the earthy scent of fallen leaves, and the soft rustle of trees whispers secrets carried by the wind. You've been walking this trail for hours, or perhaps days, yet something feels familiar about it. Each step brings you closer to where you started, yet somehow the journey itself transforms you. This is the final paradox, a reflection on endings that are also beginnings. How returning to the same place can feel like arriving somewhere entirely new. Let's pause here for a moment, letting the paradox settle gently into your thoughts. Picture the scene again, the gentle curve of the path stretching ahead, the interplay of light and shadow dancing across the ground, the faint crunch of gravel beneath your feet. On one hand, a circle has no beginning or end. It loops endlessly, defying linear progression. Yet on the other hand, completing the loop feels like an arrival, a culmination of effort, time, and experience. How can something so cyclical also feel so conclusive? And why does coming full circle often leave us changed even though we've returned to the same point? Now, let's linger here for a moment, imagining the broader implications. This isn't just about paths or forests, it's about how we make sense of cycles in life. Think about the times you've experienced moments of closure, finishing a project only to start anew, ending one chapter of your life while opening another, or revisiting places from your past with fresh eyes. These transitions remind us that endings are rarely absolute. They carry within them the seeds of new beginnings. Life itself mirrors this dynamic, oscillating between repetition and renewal, continuity and change. Philosophers, poets, and thinkers have long grappled with this paradox, using it to explore the nature of time, growth, and meaning. Some argue that circularity reflects the essence of existence itself. The seasons turning, civilizations rising and falling, individuals learning and unlearning across lifetimes. Others suggest that what matters most isn't the shape of the journey but the transformation it brings. Even if we return to the same physical or metaphorical place, we do so as different people. Still others embrace the paradox as evidence of the interconnectedness of all things, urging us to see endings not as finalities but as thresholds. But let's bring it back to the forest, away from abstract theories and into the realm of human reflection. As you stand there gazing at the path ahead, feel the weight of the paradox, not as something to resolve but as something to marvel at. Isn't there something poetic about the idea that endings and beginnings are intertwined, that one cannot exist without the other? That the act of circling back enriches our understanding of both departure and return? Life itself mirrors this dynamic, unfolding through cycles of loss and discovery, memory and reinvention. Take a deep breath now, letting the stillness of the forest envelop you. Feel the cool dampness of moss beneath your fingertips, the faint warmth of sunlight filtering through the canopy above. Allow yourself to marvel at the complexity of the situation, not as a problem to solve but as a celebration of nuance. There's something oddly comforting about realizing that completion doesn't mean cessation. Instead, it invites us to begin again with deeper insight and renewed purpose. As the hours pass and the sunlight shifts angles, casting long shadows across the winding path, let the image of the circle linger softly in your mind. Picture its seamless curve glowing faintly under the morning light, each turn and twist a testament to the interplay of sameness and difference. Perhaps tonight, in your dreams, you'll find yourself back on this trail, exploring the paradox anew, walking its loops, tracing its edges, searching for meaning in its duality. Or maybe you'll simply sit there, content to embrace the ambiguity, to wonder, to reflect. And so, as you prepare to rest, carry this quiet contemplation with you. Let it remind you that life is full of dualities, each one layered with nuance and possibility. For in the dance of endings and beginnings lies the essence of continuation, and the beauty of finding meaning in the eternal cycle. As the final echoes of these paradoxes fade into silence, let their lingering questions settle softly around you like a comforting blanket. Life's greatest mysteries aren't meant to keep us awake. They're here to remind us of the beauty in not knowing, the joy in wondering, and the peace in simply being. So as you close your eyes, carry this quiet contemplation with you. In the dance of contradictions lies the rhythm of dreams, and in the heart of uncertainty, the promise of serenity. Sleep well, dreamer, you've earned it. Friend, if you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up. It really helps others discover this content. Subscribe to the channel for more thought-provoking, mind-blowing content you can unwind and relax to. And don't forget to hit the bell icon so you never miss a new video. Thanks for watching.